Welcome back, listeners, to another very interesting episode on the Cosmic Confluence podcast, where we explore the unseen threads weaving spirituality, business, multidimensional leadership into this intricate fabric of our modern lives. I'm your host, Sana, and today's conversation is one that invites us to truly pause and reimagine the future of leadership. Well, we are joined by someone who doesn't just talk about consciousness, he lives it. Listeners, meet Charley Johnson. He is a visionary entrepreneur, president of the Paid Forward Foundation, and founder of the Consciousness Training. Now, with over 20 years in business and nearly a decade, a decade studying under an enlightened teacher, he now steps into a very bold, emerging role, which is Chief Consciousness Officer. Have you heard that one? I guess no. So, in a world which is increasingly shaped by artificial intelligence, fragmentation, a lot of complexities, Charlie's mission is to bring clarity, neutrality, and deep human connection back into business. So, let's quickly drop into this conversation. So, with that, Charlie, welcome to the show. And as always, it is such an honor to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, Charlie, of course, in our BizBlend discussion as well, I mentioned this. Yeah, I'm loving this title, Chief Consciousness Officer. It almost sounds like science fiction until you hear your why behind it. So, can you tell us what a CCO does? I mean, from a consciousness level, and why we need this role right now? Why this is so essential?
The shift on this planet is consciousness. Not many know it. More and more are going to start to see this. They're going to start to understand it, and they're going to start to have questions. More people are talking about consciousness, trying to figure out, they ask, as they say, the hard question of consciousness. A lot of scientists are trying to. We're never going to understand really the source of consciousness, but we know
Mm-hmm.
we can use it. So, a chief consciousness officer for business is an individual that brings clarity to the whole organization, brings clarity to the individuals who are starting to feel things differently, who are starting to feel the shift on this planet and wondering why the old things they've done in the past are not working. They are, it's a position that's helping bridge the gap between employees and executives because the shift is kind of thinning the veil and employees' ability to have the executives lie to them or stretch the truth is just at an all-time high. They just can't handle it anymore. So executives don't know how to deal with employees. Employees are fed up with executives. Someone's got to bridge that gap. Someone's got to help them understand what's going on and why things are feeling off, why things are feeling differently, why this shift is drastically altered compared to what we've gone through in the past. The CCO would help every C-suite executive in the organization gain more clarity. They would help with marketing. They'd help with sales. They'd help with the CEO and strategy. They'd definitely help HR start hiring people who have a higher level of clarity and higher level of consciousness. The CCO is the next logical step. Just like when technology took over businesses and people started hiring CTOs. This is it, because the consciousness has always been there. Everything's consciousness. It's fundamental to our reality and our experience. Why wouldn't we have someone on staff to help us tap into it?
Mm, makes sense. Makes sense. And let's talk about your own journey. I guess we missed that in the previous discussion, but you have spent a decade with an enlightened teacher while also leading in business and nonprofit spaces. So this is really a very unique combination. So how this shaped your ability to bring neutrality and higher awareness into organizational systems? Because I'm just guessing that when probably you would have started, there was kind of a bit of skepticism. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, how exactly it all started for you?
So there's no skepticism because it was kind of cloaked in business, right?
Okay.
It The chief consciousness officer is new. It's a new position that the world's ready for. A
Mhm.
lot of these interviews I'm doing, the hosts have admitted that they wouldn't have had me on as early as 3 months ago. That's how quickly things are happening. But as
Mhm.
far as bringing in clarity into business in the past, before the CCO, just from my natural ability and from with my teacher, you just it's just a clarity thing. It allows you to see where an employee's coming from. It allows you to see where an executive's coming from. It allows you to
Mhm.
build a culture because there's no hidden agendas. There's no ulterior motives. There's neutrality. You have the ability to talk to anyone at any level in the organization and help them feel heard. And when that happens, there's a cohesion. There's a culture that's built. There's a lot of collaboration. And the division and conflict that is normal between humans, just because we're human, especially in business, that is minimized when you have someone like me on staff. Now, as time has gone on, coming up with that position, the chief consciousness officer, gives it credibility, um, and now the world is ready for it. So it's more of people have done conscious capitalism, conscious management, conscious leadership in the past. That's one thing. That's a lot of the wellness programs, being more aware, which is perfectly fine, which is great. It's been working. But consciousness, not conscious, is the next level that business needs to take, they need to move down. That the customer service, middle level managers, executive CEOs, once they really start to hear more that consciousness is everything, that they've been swimming in it their whole life, that they've not understood that, uh, they haven't had awareness or access to it. Once
Mhm.
they know they have access to it at any point, they're going to want guidance. They're going to want people to help. They're going to want someone on staff that's going to help them understand what the hell it is. And I think there's going to be a lot of questions, and they're going to want someone other than a consultant. They're going to want someone in the trenches with them.
Mm, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, the necessities, they outweigh the skepticism behind this. So, also, in your experience, Charlie, guiding leaders into higher consciousness as a chief consciousness officer, do you feel that companies or organizations, like people, individuals, they have their own energetic signatures or soul blueprints? Because the most we talk in case of business context is about B plans, um, targets, I mean, financial performance, numbers, and metrics. I mean, how does tuning into that frequency impact the collective alignment of that entire organization?
Well, bringing awareness to energy, bringing awareness to that this individual's soul has a higher clarity than someone else on their team. That's why maybe why there's conflict. Just slowly bringing that information, that knowledge, that type of conversation into discussions is just going to be logical moving forward. The skepticism that you talked about, there's no real skepticism as of right now. Reason being is because of the background I have, I know how to merge those two worlds together. I'm not coming in from a very spiritual angle. I'm not telling people to meditate. I'm not telling them to be mindful. I'm not telling them to go do a 10-day silent retreat or to find a teacher or anything like that. No, I'm not suggesting books. It's a tr- it's legitimately a business tactic. It's about the strategy. It's about profit. It's about the business. But once there's more honesty and authenticity from both employees and executives, everyone knows where everyone stands. Everyone knows that they're not being lied to. Everyone knows they can be authentic. And the idea behind a for-profit business, which so many people have an issue with, it
Mhm.
kind of dissolves, right? It's kind of like one of those things where two people are in a room and there's an elephant in the room, and until someone admits there's an elephant in the room, there's so much tension. Well, there's a
Exactly.
lot of tension because executives are trying to kind of hold their cards close to their chest. Executives want to know information of what the hell's going on. If someone was just more open about that, e
Mhm.
even if it's not what they like, even if it's gonna hurt them, at least we know, right? A lot of people would rather know immediately than just be dragged out for a month or a year. Um, this clarity, understanding the level of the soul, understanding the level of the consciousness of the individuals, starting to talk about it in this way, in a very business-oriented way, just kind of merging those two, it's really going to impact these businesses. Because as you know, there's so many tools people can do. Akashic records,
Yeah.
astrology. There's probably quite a few individuals when I cross paths with them because of my neutrality, they'll tell me things they've never told their husband or wife. They see things, they hear things, they've tapped into different dimensions. They see things in they see angels, they see beings, they channel whatever, and they keep that really close. Imagine kind of letting that out. Imagine finding out that that's not as crazy as they make it sound. That's just normal. It's consciousness. It's tapped in. You're tapped into it. It's all connected. There's a reason why some people can and can't. It's no different than everyone can shoot a basketball, but there's professional players and then there's people like me, right? Everyone's tapped into consciousness and everyone has access to it.
Hmm. That is such a creative answer. And let's talk about neutrality. I mean, you emphasize on the importance of neutrality, and so then from a cosmic lens, Charlie, neutrality it often feels like tapping into that void, that place of infinite potential. So how can leaders hold that space without fearing loss of control or authority or power or identity?
A, a guide, someone like me, having someone on staff that can help them baby step down the road. Because if they're so used to leading one way, having them lead a drastically different way within a day or a week, or even a month, it's not going to be good for anyone involved. And also believe that shifting the verbiage, right? When you tell someone who's been confident and has had access to all the answers, needing to be the CEO and show the direction and show the vision to everyone, when they hear void, it terrifies them, right? So I wouldn't be using the same language that we're talking about. I wouldn't be using the same language that my teacher told me about, the absolute versus relative, the void, the nothingness. All of this information is no, I would I would just help them understand that simple stuff like here they are right here in this awareness. If they can expand it, right? They have different vision, they have access to different solutions, different problems. They can see more information. So instead of void, I would just say there's access to more information. Let them know that knowledge is structured in consciousness and that they have been tapping into a very small part of consciousness, but they do have access to the full range and kind of help them guide them down that road. But I think it's just about how you approach them and understanding that 20 years of business I have, being able to talk to them on their level, not walking in um, from a very spiritual place and scaring the hell out of them.
Interesting. Obviously, I think this definitely answers the skepticism, even if it's there, from the business world, from CEOs or the leadership. And let's try to imagine a world where every CEO has a CCO next to them. They have you next to them. So what happens to that, the culture of that company, innovation, adapting to disruptions, and even profitability? When clarity, not control, guides decision making.
Well, so the thing that pops out to my mind is you said clarity, not control.
Mhm.
With how we are as humans, it's either or. It's both. Right? We can still have control. Everyone loves control. An employee may not like being controlled at work, but they control their kids at home. They control their finances. Like we don't when you bring clarity to the situation, when you bring clarity to an individual on certain things they dislike, and then you help them realize they're doing the same thing in different parts of their life, it gives them empathy towards it. So it's not a clarity or control, it's both. There's still gonna need to be, control. There's still gonna need to be employees need to do certain things, VPs need to do certain things, executives need to do CEO needs to do. There's gonna be a discipline, a control. It's not about breaking down the system right now, because that's what a lot of people do, but they don't really have a new system put in its place, and that would be an absolute disaster. If you give clarity to what they're controlling, if you give clarity to why they're trying to control someone, when they loosen up the reins, it's kind of like like an athlete. Someone
Mhm.
who's controlled for the wrong reasons may not rise to their full potential. You bring in a coach who still has control, discipline, and helps guide that athlete, but lets them off the leash a little bit, and then they thrive. That's what we're doing, and that's not just for employees, that's for executives, that's for CEOs. The CEO sometimes feels more controlled than the employees because there's certain things they have to do. There's the weight
Yes.
of the world on their heads. There's certain things they can't do because of being an executive, because there's so much here, and again, this discussion, and I believe my viewpoint on bringing this in a very unique way, answers that people have never heard, is what we need, because what we've done in the past is not really working, it's crumbling. So we need to understand it's not an either/or proposition. We can bring clarity to the organization from every level to every employee so everyone can be more honest. There can be nothing that hides around the corner, no monsters under the bed, no falseness. "Oh, the wall behind me is white." Everyone knows it's white. Great. You don't like white walls? Okay, then leave.
Mm.
We need to just be more authentic and honest, and that's what clarity is gonna do. Clarity is gonna help profitability. It's gonna
Mhm.
minimize division and conflict. It's gonna help HR. It's gonna help marketing. It's gonna help everything because it's an when you bring in a true CCO, they're neutral. They've got a very powerful, clear consciousness. It's anyone who comes to that individual is like a consciousness of a Google of consciousness. They're gonna
Mhm.
absorb the whole story. They're not gonna alienate any part of the story. They're not gonna alienate anyone in the organization because of their beliefs or their ideals, and they're gonna be an open space that gives advice back to that individual at any level of the company that is as authentic and as real and as correct as possible because there's no bias, there's no conditioning. It the question of what a CCO would do, it's
Mhm.
endless. And they need to be hired on full time so they can be within the organization all day long, just bringing their consciousness and clarity to everyone around them.
Mm. Definitely defies the traditional settings in there, Charlie. But
Mhm.
again, once again, a bit of a traditional perspective. I mean, this I don't believe in this, but people say that everything is fair in business. So when you mentioned about neutrality, um, how exactly do you um, or would you handle the ethics part there? Because in business, sometimes there will be situations where either you are ethically taking a decision or you are taking a decision which is for the greater good of the business. Could be financially, could be in marketing or in something which um, practically, pragmatically will be beneficial for the business. What I mean, what's your opinion on this?
So it's going to be different as well. Ethical or unethical, Catholic or atheist, right or wrong. What is ethical to one is unethical to another, and vice versa. So I would bring again the neutrality to it. This
Okay.
would be an individual that would open the space to someone who's about to make a very unethical decision, and they're going to second guess it, meaning they're going to be more open to it because when people start making decisions that are not in the best interest of everyone, they usually have individuals pushing against them. And we as humans, usually when someone pushes against us, there is a time when it's like, okay, thank you for checking me. But there's also a time where most humans will look at it and say, oh, you're gonna try and stop me? Well, then that's not gonna happen. I'm gonna push through. It's like a kid, like don't have a cookie. Well, I want a cookie. Like we think as adults that we've grown up. We haven't. We're just older with bigger problems, bigger monsters under the bed, and bigger lack of clarity because we think we know what we're doing. Kids don't. Again, this is a unique perspective, but when it comes out, people agree with it. So it's more about bringing the neutrality. It's about sitting in a C-suite meeting where they're discussing something that may be pushing the envelope. And when you have someone who's neutral, you're really going to think it through. There's not going to be someone who agrees with you like a yes man, and there's not going to be someone in the room playing devil's advocate. Because what's the difference? Truly, what's the difference? When you have someone neutral in the room, it just changes everything. Because think about how the world is today. There is no neutrality. There is no chief conscience officer. There is no one that just sits in there and listens and absorbs and allows you to be who you need to be, but in a sense, changes who you are just by neutrality. So it's never been done. This position's never been in corporations. Just right there, it's going to drastically change everything. just by sheer uniqueness and newness alone. They're finally going to have someone within the organization that's not going to say, man, you're the greatest CEO in the world. And there's not going to be someone that says, I hate you, I don't like this, and we really need to find a new CEO. True neutrality. I don't think people really know how to deal with that. But once they do take that chance, they're going to see the power that brings to the organization. But again, with ethics and unethical things, it's, what's ethical to a Catholic is unethical to an atheist, and vice versa. Someone who brings that to the conversation and actually says that to the CEO and other executives inside the company, it's going to expand their awareness. It's going to change how they make decisions. Really, it truly is. No different than two employees not getting along because of their political beliefs. Well, someone like me comes up to them neutrally, very curiously says, you do realize that I know you don't like Susie because she's a certain party, but Susie doesn't like you because you're a certain party, and you think she's ruining the world, but she thinks you're ruining the world.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, who wins? Well, no, 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 no. You're either both right or you're both wrong. You're both coming from the same source. It's not going to change their beliefs. It's not going to make them change parties. But what it does is it makes them think differently because they're hearing something for the first time and they can't unhear it. That simple stuff that people think is not a big deal is a big, big deal. I watch it with strangers I talk to at the grocery store, when I'm out walking the dog and I talk to someone and I make a comment they've never heard before, people I play soccer with, people I work with, friends, family. When I say something they've never heard before, you see, in a sense, almost a blankness in them because it's like the computer downloading new information saying, huh, that's interesting. So it's kind of like an upgrade, and then it'll just kind of infiltrate all their decisions. That within business is very important. It's very crucial.
Excellent. This is really something big, different because technically we haven't been programmed in that way.
No, even with religion and spirituality, everyone thinks spirituality is this open space. It's religion. Spirituality's become just as dogmatic as religion. Spirituality is the heads to the tails of the coin of religion. When
Mm.
we start to understand that, we understand how programmed we are. We may have left one behind, but we just filled it right back up with another. We're programmed. Our mind is divided. It's duality. That's just the way it is.
Brilliant, Charlie. Every time I have this conversation with you, once again, I would have the same reaction. I'm blank because this
That's
is.
a good thing. That because what most discussions, no matter what we're talking about, whoever we're talking to, we're always looking to answer. We want to put our 2 cents in. We want to sound intelligent. We want to sound like we know what we're doing. And if we don't, we want to ask a question. That's how we've done this for thousands of years. So imagine having this information within an organization where I say something and just like you're like, it's just like silence. There's no questions. It's just you absorbing that information. It's like it's absorbing into your mind, into your consciousness, and it's like downloading and just dripping over everything you've ever known, all your bias, all your conditioning, all the things you've ever been divided and conflicted over. A simple two-word, like 2 sentences. That
Mm.
is massive, massive change. We think change is through fighting something, tearing something down, standing up for what we believe, but both sides are standing up for what they believe. Both sides are fighting. We're not getting anywhere. Actually, not only are we not getting anywhere, it's exhausting both sides to the point where everything's crumbling.
Mm.
How I'm not on staff right now full time making a small fortune because the company has found out about this, it blows me away. But I know it's going to happen soon because there's more individuals very appreciative of people like you and your podcast to allow more people to hear this. If I'm a CEO or a C-suite executive, I may not understand what I'm saying, but there's something in my soul saying, hire this individual immediately and get him around us. Even in politics, especially here in America with Republican and Democrat, if I was a politician, either side, I'd have me on staff to bridge that gap. I can't imagine anything more powerful than bridging, truly being bipartisan. They talk about being bipartisan. We both know they're full of it. We both know that's not the way it is. Half this country voted for Trump, half the country did. We need someone to start bridging the gap.
That will blow up stuff. I don't know. And not only America, I mean, we talk about the political condition of other countries, India as well. I think.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, I don't would not specifically go there, but we need this. We need this right now.
Yes, we do. We do, and I appreciate you helping getting more people to hear it.
Absolutely, Charlie. Great. Great. So finally, if our listeners would like to connect with you, because it's a ripple effect, more and more listeners they'll be listening, more and more listeners will get to know about this, they'll talk about this. So what's the best way to do that? How they can connect with you?
I'll just give you my LinkedIn. That is the best. There's a lot of posts about what this position is, what it's not. It talks about how it can benefit your organization at every level. So you have my LinkedIn profile. Just please put that in the video, and they can contact me there.
Absolutely, absolutely, I'll have it there. And Charlie, thank you so much. I mean, every time now I'm gradually having these kind of conversations with you. um, I think every conversation, it's adding a bit of more um, confidence into me, into believing the concept of this position, the need of the hour. So thank you so much.
All right. Thank you for having me on.
And to all of our listeners, a bit of a practical question. What if your next business breakthrough wasn't in a book or in a boardroom, but in consciousness itself? Until next time, keep tuning into your truth. Think about the answer to this question. And I would like to say, you are the confluence. Thank you so much.